This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics, of course, in partnership with United Bank for Africa, UBA. We do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30. In case you're just listening to this for the first time ever, you've been missing. Of course, you can always go back to previous editions on our YouTube channel, Nairametrics TV. Just search for Nairametrics on YouTube, and then you can get previous versions of this show published there as a podcast, and of course as a video, and you can see me in the studio. So this is purely a stock market show. We talk about Nigerian and US stocks, and of course we also cover the economy. Basically, follow the money, just pointing you to where that money is. What a week it was last week for the Nigerian economy. We had a lot of data. So, of course, we will talk about the macros, the big macros. There was GDP numbers out, there was inflation numbers out, there was NPR, just a whole lot of stuff. And, of course, the stock market ended the month of November as well. So, a lot to chew on this show. You don't want to miss out, because I got a lot of nuggets and I'm going to be sharing. But we'll start first with the Nairametrics Economic Outlook. If you missed this one, I mean, we had it on Saturday. If you missed, then you missed big time, because we had a bumper panelist of people of Timban caliber, like they say, essentially breaking down some of the important things that matters to all of us in the economy. He was basically focused on America first and what it means for Nigeria. And of course, we did touch on a whole lot of stuff. And then the panelists also pointed Nigerians to opportunities that exist in this economy. So if you missed out on that webinar, don't worry, not to worry, as we always do at Nairametrics. We know that, I mean, we live in an online world, so people want to consume content whenever they want. So there's going to be the recorded version of that webinar on the Nairametrics website and YouTube channel later today. So for those who may have missed out, watch out for it. Just follow Nairametrics on YouTube, turn on your notifications, and then so that when that video is uploaded, you can get it. Of course, we've got a lot of interesting videos up on that website, on that channel as well, that you can see. There's no better time to consume content that can help you make money. I mean, it's always good to consume content that keeps you happy, but I mean, you always want to consume content that makes you make money. All right, so we start quickly with the macros. The CBN, during the week, raised interest rate. I guessed it right for those who were asking me, who called me during the week to get my opinion. 25 basis points was what they did. So NPR has now gone from 27.25 to 27.5%. Of course, the central bank says this is all in the bid to curb galloping inflation. So a lot of people didn't like it because especially those in the manufacturing sector, they are not happy that interest rate is climbing. Of course, it's also affecting people who want credit from a bank. For example, I wanted credit from a bank, and all of a sudden the bank wrote and said, oh, well, look, interest rate has gone up, and so we would have to adjust the offer that we're giving. I'm like, keep your offer to yourself, because I ain't paying anything higher than what was given to me before. So that's basically, the impact of such decisions. But to the CBN, the CBN governor at the Bankers Committee, which I gladly attended last week as well, said, look, there's no choice. The only tool that they have to fight inflation is the MPR, that's the monetary policy rate. And so they raised it to 27.5%. So now Nigeria's MPR is officially higher than that of Ghana. And it's kind of significant because Ghana was somewhere where we were last year when they also went through their own economic issues. And at some point, the MPR was even over 30%. But they've sort of now brought it down to 27%. They've also seen the inflation taper down as well. So, central banks know how these things work. MPR is usually the tool that they use to fight inflation because it has its own consequences. And then people will also tell you that there are all other structural issues with the Nigerian economy that the MPR might not be able to address. But you know what? That's the tool that they have, and that's what they've been using to address it. And so MPR is now gone up. Something else that the central bank also announced, so a lot of people who may not have noticed, was that they also adjusted the interest rates that they pay bank on what they call the standard deposit facility. So essentially, if you wanted to place money in with the central bank, they now also pay you MPR plus 1%. So banks who deposit money there, there are banks who have excess cash, so to deposit money in the standard deposit facility, to deposit money there, and then other banks can go and borrow if they have shortage of cash. I mean, it's something that happened in the banking sector. So they've increased that. It used to be 19% for, I think, above 3 billion or thereabout, or below 3 billion, I beg your pardon. So they've done that adjustment as well. But to other macro issues, the central bank, the National Bureau of Statistics announced during the week that Nigeria's unemployment rate, wait for it, dropped to 4.3%. Wow, we're all employed in Nigeria, isn't it? I was asking at some point, well, did they mean employment rate? Someone said no, it's unemployment rate. So unemployment rate decreased to 4.3% in the second quarter of 2024. Was a 1% percentage drop from the 5.3% in the first quarter of 2024. So it's as if we're even employing ourselves faster. Can you imagine that? Like, a lot of people are employed in Nigeria. But when you dig deep into that data, you now tend to understand what exactly they're saying. The proportion of self-employed individuals, that's self-employed Nigerians, rose to 84%. Of course, it used to be 88%, so it even dropped. So essentially, the reason why our unemployment rate seems low, for those who are wondering how the heck is this happening, it's because the data suggests most of us are self-employed. You see? So most people are self-employed. So you get out of school and you just employ yourself. And as far as the MBS is concerned, you are employed. Whether you're selling recharge card or whether you're selling food by the road, you are employed as far as that data is concerned. And so that is what is said. And then also shows that informal employment continues to dominate Nigeria's labor market, with 93% of total employed people purely informal. These things has huge consequences for any economy, because when you have a largely informal workforce, then it's difficult for state governments who rely on labor, on unemployment, or people who employ, to pay personal income taxes. So taxes becomes very difficult for states to collect because the people that are mostly employed are self-employed, right? So they're self-employed and they're mostly in the informal market. So if they're in the informal market, there's no formal way of essentially collecting taxes from these guys. And so that's just the challenges that you have with this sort of data. But that's what the MBS says. And of course, there was another good news during the week. The MBS also released GDP numbers, and to my surprise especially, GDP was up 3.4% year on year in real terms in the third quarter of 2024, largely driven by the services sector, which grew by over, I think, 5.5%, if I'm not mistaken, during the quarter as well. So impressive numbers for our GDP. Nigeria's economy is largely dominated by the services sector. They essentially are the major drivers of our GDP. And then when you look into the number, distill into numbers, guess which sector essentially was driving the entire economy? The financial services sector, especially the banks, financial institutions. They were up by about 31 or so percent in terms of GDP growth rate. It's incredible numbers year on year. Of course, you all know why. I mean, banks have been doing pretty well because of FX devaluation issues. Of course, interest rates are high. So whenever the economy is in that sort of, when economic indicators are that way, banks tend to make significant kind of money and tend to grow. So banks are growing pretty well. That's why we have to be very careful about how we manage banks as well, because you also don't want to sort of impact or negatively impact that growth, because that is essentially what is driving the economy positively at the moment. Telcos, despite the challenges they're having, they're also growing as well, because they also recorded some significant growth during the year on year, that is. So those are the major growth areas that we have in the economy this year. All right, so that essentially has been the macros that was released during the week. By the way, guys, there was one announcement. The central bank is going to be publishing a new website today. So looking forward to that. The CBN governor did allude to the fact that there's going to be a lot more data on their website. So I decade, man. So pretty looks bare, but now cautiously I'm looking forward to that website. So that is it on the macros. And we go right into the stock market. So how did Nigerian stock market do last month? The all-share index fell by 0.15% in the month of November. The first time the stock market has dropped in the month of November over the last 5 years. Yeah. So between 2028 and last year, the stock market has always done positively in November. It's remarkable. Always post positive return, month-on-month return. But it snapped that 5-year gaining streak last month by just 0.15%. And so stocks closed at 97,506 points. It decreased from 97,650 the month before, that's in October. Nevertheless, market activity surged to 10.8 billion shares, which was a 28.7% increase from 8.3 billion shares sold in October. Now, what does this mean? I mean, if the volumes are much higher, then it kind of means that people who participate in the stock market, especially stockbrokers, investment firms, they could have also made significant money because they make money when there's a lot more volume sold. So yes, stocks did dip, but a lot of volumes were done last month, and so these guys would have made some good money. Market overall capitalization remained robust, staying at about 59 trillion. I'm wondering if we might hit 60 trillion in market capitalization by the end of the year. I mean, but for us to hit that kind of numbers, then stocks have to do pretty well in December. And my bet is that stocks might do well in December. I said it here. Don't say I didn't say it. Stocks might do well in December. That means positioning has to be very, very key as we move on. So if you look at the broader index itself, like I mentioned, all-share index was slightly down, during the month of November by 0.15%. So year to date, all-share index is still up 30.4%, mostly due to the gains that we saw in the first quarter of the year. You all remember, the first quarter was blistering for the Nigerian stock market. So it's basically just been, averaging all through the year. So we're still up 30.4%, much lower than inflation numbers, but still one of the best returns you can get anywhere in the economy as well. So for those who are always wondering, where can I put money in? You can see stock market is pretty doing well. The returns are 30.4%. Of course, when you compare that to fixed income securities, which can actually give you 30% return, especially on like treasury bills or OMO bills, some will tell you, look, you know what? I just want to push my money into fixed income securities because there's less hassle and the return is a lot better. But, stock market can even give you much better return. And there's been a lot of stocks that have performed pretty well during the month as well. During the first 11 months of the year, and I'm gonna be giving you those stocks when we return on the second half of this program. I'm gonna learn about the stocks that were the top during the first 11 months of this year. Let's see if your stocks made it as the best performing stocks for the month of November, to be specific. A lot of the stocks, I think the last list of them probably returned over 40%. Just chill. We'll be right back, and I'll give you that list. Yep, we're back. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics in partnership with UBA. My name is Gudre, and we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30. Of course, you can always listen to other versions or previous versions or this version of this program on our YouTube channel at Nairametrics. All right, so we're back, and I said I was going to read out the best performing stocks for the month of November, and I'm going to do that in ascending order. So the best performing stock coming in at number 10 was Cadbury Nigeria Limited at 29.9%. And Cadbury had a pretty rough year because of course, FX challenges. But investors have been rewarding the stocks positively because of a number of things. Fundamentally, I think they're basically turning around the company gradually, trying to find ways to get things done. We're also seeing some kind of investment play as well from their majority owners. So the share price is up 29.9% this month. Flour Mills is next up. Flour Mills, there is a plan to delist the company, and so the share price is going up because investors want a significantly more, shares compare share price for exit compared to what Flour Mills is offering. Currently, the stock is trading at 81 or so naira per share, up 30.8% this month already. The next is Consolidated Hallmark, up 3.3%. Insurance stocks have done pretty well in the month of November, and that's why you have another insurance stock coming up as well at 35.6%, and that is Prestige Assurance and PLC. Corn oil, on the back of significant positive results for the month of for the third quarter of the year, has seen the share price also done pretty well, up 45.8%, to 276 naira per share. Lafarge is also doing pretty well, up 50.6% to 58 naira. There is news that their French shareholders, which is Holcim, appear to be exiting Lafarge Africa. That's the entity that operates in Nigeria and across Africa. So perhaps that is why the share price is doing well. Of course, Lafarge has also done well in terms of numbers. Fundamentals have also been pretty strong. Tantalizers also did well during the month, up 79%. Pretty easy to understand why. I did mention a few weeks ago that there were some investors that took position in that stock. So that is why it is up 79.7%. Suno Assurance, I told you, insurance companies were doing pretty well, up 86% to be third best performing stock for the month of November. And of course, John Holt comes in second at 197% as a penny stock. And of course, number one is Unicell Interlink PLC, another penny stock, 277%. So that's been the top performing stocks for the month of November. I don't know, do you have any of the stocks in your portfolio? Have you forgotten that you own these shares in your portfolio? You might want to check with your stockbroker to be sure that you're not missing out on these stocks, because if you do own them, then that's some money that you've made for the month of November. You might want to cash out. All right, so what else happened during the week? Access Holdings PLC, that's the owners of Access Bank, announced that it had completed the acquisition of all Standard Chartered Bank across some countries in sub-Saharan Africa, particularly Angola and Sierra Leone. If you remember last year, they did announce that they had struck a deal with Standard Chartered to acquire their assets in those countries. Again, this is not Standard Chartered Nigeria. Standard Chartered in some countries in Africa are now going to be owned by Access Holdings. That empire continues to expand. I hope it turns out positive for shareholders of Standard Chartered, because that's really what matters here. If you're a shareholder of Standard Chartered, no matter how much you want to expand, I just want to be sure that we're going to get good dividend and we're going to get good return. By the way, Access Bank has done pretty well so far this year in terms of share price appreciation. I recall the share price at one point was 19 naira, and I think it's somewhere around 22 naira per share or so. So probably up about 30% this year so far. In fact, just over the last 3 months. So keep it up, Access Bank. And so that deal gives Access Bank majority stake in Standard Chartered. Now, this is also on the back of another deal. If you recall, Access also announced 51% majority equity stake in Finibanco in Angola as it continues to expand its presence in Africa. Standard Chartered has also been acquiring a whole lot of other things. I remember they also acquired 80% stake in Uganda's Finance Trust Bank. They also acquired fully a bank called National Bank of Kenya, and they also acquired African Banking Corporation in Tanzania, and is now operating as Access Bank Tanzania. Let's not also forget that they also merged with ARM Pensions Managers to form Access ARM Pensions. So when it comes to deal making, you just got to give it to Access Bank. These guys know how to close deals, and these were actually a lot of deals that were started under the reign of Herbert Wigwe. Herbert Wigwe is one of the best deal makers Nigeria has ever seen when it comes to mergers and acquisition. That guy just knows how to execute. And so these were all the deals that were in the pipeline when he was alive, and the bank has gone on to consummate most of those deals. So when it comes to deals this year, you just want to give it to them. All right, so another thing that was in the news was Japol Gold and Ventures PLC announced the signing of a 26 billion naira sand mining contract. Japol is also listed on the exchange, by the way. So it's a sand mining contract with Gravitas Investment Limited. So they said they want to mine 3.5 million cubic meters of sand, essentially reclaiming land from water for what they call Gracefield Island. And according to them, they said that is likely going to be the next banana island. I mean, we've heard this before, right? Yeah, I'm sure that's what you're going to say. But this guy said they're serious and they believe that they're likely going to reclaim about 200 hectares of land. And from there, they're going to have luxurious amenities like golf course, golf estate, boat club, yacht parking, shopping malls. I don't know which people are going to live all the way there. I don't know how that's going to work because Banana Island is pretty close to VI and Ikoyi. So if you're building this around that Lekki axis, all the way down, I don't know how to go. Anyway, but they're very positive about this deal. And so Japol, of course, recently also completed a private placement to raise funds for its gold mining projects across several gold fields where it holds mining leases and exploratory permits. And so Japol also pretty much into dredging. In terms of numbers, they did post a pre-tax profit of 174 million for the third quarter of 2024. And so in the first 9 months, 578 million in pre-tax profit. So that is Japol in a nutshell. So interesting that they are doing this project. I want to see how this pans out, by the way, because I mean, like when you say you want to do a dredge, like you want to create a new banana island, create a significantly big, huge project for them, and it's nice to see what this means for their bottom line down the road. All right, so last week something very strange happened. In case you weren't following that news, and this was in the crypto space. So there was Justin Sun. In case you haven't heard that name before, you might want to check him out. Justin Sun is a billionaire crypto owner, and he basically bought an art, a very interesting artwork, and it was basically a banana tied, glued to a wall with a duct tape. Like, just imagine, you go and buy a banana and just put sellotape on top and just tip the banana on the wall. And it was called art. It was sold a couple of years ago for a significant amount of money, and it made news around then. And then he bought it for $6.3 million freaking dollars. Yeah, $6.3 million was what he bought it for. And so, bananas, they'll spoil. So it's not like it's real banana, and they have lifespan. Like banana, if you don't eat it, it's going to spoil. And this guy splashed $6.3 million to buy that banana that you probably buy at maybe like just one piece of banana. So I'm probably going to get it at like maybe 100 naira, 200 naira or something like that. So when you eat that banana, just remember somebody paid $6.3 million with that banana plus sellotape on top. And so that guy ended up buying the bananas. And you know what he did with it? Because he chopped it. Ate it. Ate the banana with a lot of fanfare. Of course, the media, the press, they were all there with him, surrounding him as he was chewing on the banana. So, because some people just hustle every day in their life and want to kill themselves, just to get $1 million and do all sorts. Always remember that someone just bought just one banana with a duct tape for $6.3 million. No shaking. And the guy ate it comfortably and nothing happened, right? Nothing happened and he was fine. So just always remember that. All right. So we're almost out of time here. A few other things happened during the week I could have loved to mention, but we'll do that probably next week. But remember, guys, this December, I'm going to be the next few episodes before we close the year. for Follow the Money. I'm going to be giving you some of my stock picks. Last week I did mention stock picks for the insurance sector. We're going to talk about stock picks for other sectors next Monday, and then we will also talk about foreign stocks that we think you should be looking at. What we call the Trump stocks, the MAGA stocks that might do well under Donald Trump. You don't want to miss this next few episodes as we close the year. We're now in the Dirty December period. Take it easy, take it easy. Remember, all that money you've worked hard for throughout the year, this is the time to enjoy it. This has been Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics in partnership with UBA. I remain Ugudre. Until we'll do this again next week, do have a most profitable week ahead. Goodbye.